All right, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully we are gonna make this short and sweet. Sorry, it's like a gnat or something flying around my head. Um, so of course, we've done this training. This is the second time now. We tried to make it varied the time. I tried to push it till 5:30 so people that work had an opportunity to get home. And yesterday was at 9:30. So two various times, two different dates, trying to help us out. So we didn't do all of it in one day to give us a little bit of break. We do have external evaluators. This is a mandatory external evaluator training. So all of our external evaluators should be on the Zoom tonight. But we also have some grantees. Yesterday we had some TAs and state people on. We're always welcoming other people into our Zooms, and we had our statewide evaluator on yesterday also, just to make sure that everybody is clear on what the external evaluation process is. Whether you're new to it or have been doing it for years, does not matter. We're going to keep, trying to refresh our tools, but give you more information as much as possible. So that is not the right slide to be starting with. Hold on. Let's go all the way to the front. That's the right slide. All right, so, and we are recording this session. We recorded the session yesterday. We'll figure out which one is better and we'll post one by Friday. It'll be on the same YouTube page that all of our 21st century stuff is on from Alabama, which is linked from our website, alabama21cclc.org. So I'm Erica Rucker. My lovely Lindas are on with me today, Linda Dean and Linda Williams. And we are going to talk to you about the external evaluation training for 23-24. I know we're a little bit later than we normally are, but the RFA, the cohort 17, was late awarding just because of a bunch of new regulations and all of that, things that could not be avoided. So we pushed it back a little bit so that we can make sure that our new cohort 17 external evaluators would have a chance to do the training live with 16. Now, just because we pushed the training back did not mean that you couldn't have went ahead if you were cohort 16 external evaluator and you weren't brand new. Go ahead and do the external evaluation first observation for the fall. So I want to make that clear this year so we won't have people next year, kind of waiting. You don't have to wait. We have no control over when the grant is awarded, and we kind of go by that as far as the date. So just make sure that your fall visits and all of that, you go ahead and set that up. And we'll talk about that later when we talk about timelines and observations and all of that. If you have a question at any point, you can pop it in the chat box and one of my lenders will stop me and we'll address the question. Sometimes I'm going to see the question and I'm going to eventually answer it also. So that might be the case too. But I'm going to try not to keep us. So we're going to move ahead. All right. So here's our agenda. I'm going to talk about the front end. Then Linda Williams is going to talk about the back end. Linda D is going to pop in with the timeline. And then I'm going to pop in at the end and just give you a refresher on the website, just remind you of the website, what all is on there, all of that jazz. So we're going to talk about grant requirements, continuation applications, just a touch of continuation applications to tell you what you need to give your grantees so that they can complete that. We'll talk about program evaluation, the GEPR measures, the observation and the observation tools that we use. And then Linda Williams is going to talk about evaluation plans, logic model, final reports. We're going to talk about easy reports just a little bit. We're going to talk about timeline and the website. If you notice, we do have final reports on here, but when you get to that point in easy report, when you get to that point, we're only gonna introduce it, but we're not gonna talk about it a lot. In our timeline, we're gonna give you some dates. We're gonna have some additional trainings this year because I felt like it was a lot of confusion surrounding the GEPR measures, the easy report, all of the different things. So we want to have an easy report training a little bit later in the year, school year, not 2023. So 2024, we're going to do an easy report training for the external evaluators. We will eventually do a training on the final reports, and we might have another training somewhere in there also, just to give you some fresh content right as you should be doing it. I think that will help us kind of make sure that we have all of the tools that we need to provide great external evaluation for our 21st century grantees. So Let's talk about the grant requirements. External evaluation is a mandatory part of the 21st Century Community Learning Center funding from the top down. So Troy University is the state of Alabama's 21st Century program external evaluators. They were actually on our training yesterday morning. They actually survey our grantees, they survey our partners, they can potentially call you or email you and survey our external evaluators. They look at our program in total, the things that our programs do. They look at pictures, they do site visits, they do calls, they do interviews. They do a lot of stuff to try to figure out the same type of things that you do, try to figure out how our program is being effective and give us recommendations on how we can be better. We can better serve the students and families of Alabama. So for your part, the external evaluation piece is in the RFA. It is clearly stated what can and cannot happen with the external evaluation. There is a conflict of interest, and we will send you that form by the end of the week, updated with an updated link. We don't have it today. So the external evaluator can be an individual or agency or an organization that has no vested interest in the 21st century program. That's the 21st century program in total. This year's RFA got really specific on who could not be an external evaluator. So there is a portion of this training where we're going to say, read the grant, but we're going to keep saying, read the grant, read the grant, read the RFA, read all of the 21st century Alabama regulations that you can get your hand on, because they have gotten more stringent. The 21st century regulations from the federal department have been updated. And so there are things that are changing and that we are finding out, but more so specifics. The basics of the things, our templates are not changing this year. We changed a lot last year because of the GEPR measures, so they're not changing this year. So don't be leery of that. We're just changing the dates and changing the link dates, and we're gonna keep rolling with the same thing. But the grant specifically says some different things about external evaluation and the conflict of interest. And so I advise you to read the RFA to know that specifically. The percentages are in the RFA. I'm not going to touch on that. I don't have anything to do with y'all contracts with y'all grantees. I will say that we advise the grantees and the external evaluators to only do a 1-year contract, so that, if you feel like, hey, this didn't work out, this isn't what I signed up for, they've had too many turnovers, whatever the case may be, I don't have good recommendations for them, whatever it is, you don't want to be their external evaluator, or they don't want you to be their external evaluator, do a 1-year contract. That's my suggestion. Can't make you do it, can't make them do it, but that's my suggestion. Your final report, it must include detailed descriptions of the program's operation, how they progress towards the goals and measurable objectives in the grant, and their programs and their program strength and weaknesses, and recommendations on how they can improve their programs. We want this to be a relationship that is formed between you and the grantees, for you to give them really good recommendations on what they can do to improve their program. Some recommendations can be as simple as, hey, I noticed during your sign out process, there are 15 parents standing in a small little space. Maybe give them a larger space for sign out, or maybe have another type of sign out procedure. Hey, I saw another program. They did their sign out procedure like this. Maybe this will work for you. Those are great recommendations. Recommendations such as, give student incentives for reading X number of books is not a good recommendation, because the grant specifically says student incentives are not reimbursable. So unless you're going to provide them with an incentive, which you could, or tell them what partner organization they can partner with to receive these incentives, which means you link them with a potential partner, I wouldn't suggest making those type of recommendations. So really good recommendations, could be small, could be big, just recommendations to make their program bigger. That's what we're looking for in the external evaluation process. So why external evaluation? It's going to provide an objective third-party report. You are not a part of the grant. You didn't write the grant. You're not a part of the organization, the LEA. You're not a part of that school. You're not a parent. You're truly external. You want to, hopefully you're not in this just because, hey, it's a nice check. Hopefully you're in this because you want to see students in Alabama excel and see parent families in Alabama excel. So you're in it for that, to help provide a recommendation for them, a better standpoint for them to figure out how to make their program the best possible program that it can be. You're also there to give them a little pat on the back if you can. Hey, if you see something great in their program, that's what we want you to highlight. We want you to show the State Department, TPI, Troy, all of our stakeholders, because that's who it's going to go to. We want you to show us the great things that are going on in Alabama's 21st century programs. That is the meat of the external evaluation process. So we want you to talk about program improvement. That could be a big improvement, or it could be a small improvement. We want you to talk about provide a progress report for the Department of Education. So these, we give you a link for your external evaluation final report to go into this link, and it's generally a Qualtrics link. So they come to me, they come to Linda Williams, and they're housed on the cloud-based system. But literally, once we get all of them, we review all of them, we pull them from the system, we send them to all the TAs, we send them to all the State Department people. And at this point, the grantees actually have to take the final report and upload it into their continuation application, which is normally due in November. And they also have to upload it into Cognia, which is their compliance monitoring piece. So they have two places where they have to upload the final report in full. They have to upload the mid-year report that they complete and you sign. And they also have to upload both of the observations that you sign and they sign. So that's why we've become really big sticklers on, hey, make sure you sign this, make sure you sign that, make sure you give them a copy within a week or so, because they actually have to upload this information quickly to get it to the State Department, and they're reviewing it on a regular basis also. So we want to increase accountability of taxpayer funds. So that's why, hey, it's going to the state, and I said the stakeholders can have it. So stakeholders is any taxpayer. This document can be posted on their website for anybody to review, because 21st century dollars are federal funds. If you notice, all of our trainings, they're not behind a password or a pay screen or whatever, because this training is funded by 21st century dollars, which are taxpayer funds. So we don't want to we're not gatekeeping any of the information that we provide to 21st century programs, and we're not gatekeeping what the programs are doing, nor their grants. So we want to improve our technical assistance. Things that you see and that you put in the final report, they give us and the State Department an idea of how the program is truly running, because there's no way that we can see all of the 21st century grantees programs running at the same time. No possible way. So you provide that eyes and ears of the State Department for us with this final report and your observations. And you promote targeted professional developments. There might be things that you see, hey, I see that, I noticed in one class there was a little bit of a behavior problem. They might need some behavior management classes. They might need that type of professional development. So we can know what type of professional development to offer to our 21st century programs. So the continuation application, I spoke on that a little bit before, is due in November. They have to complete it annually. So right now, cohort 16 is in the second year of funding. This will be the first year, or this was the first year that they did continuation applications. So they actually were due November 1st. So let's say final reports, we had some things go on with that this year. So they had to upload their final reports into the continuation application. They also had to upload the fall observation into the continuation application. If you had not done the continuation application by the November 1st deadline, if you had not done the fall observation by the November 1st deadline, then they actually had to upload your last, could be your summer or could be your spring of last year's observation as a placeholder until they got your fall observation, and then they were supposed to upload that into continuation application. So basically excuse me, it's a continuation of the funding, basically providing updates and how they're working towards the progress of their grantees' initial goals and objectives. That's what the continuation grant is, and they have to provide the observations, evaluation plans, and final report to assist in that process. So that is why that is important. That November 1 date normally does not change. So when you're thinking about your fall observations, it might be imperative for you to do your fall observations before November 1st, or at least have a plan in place with your grantee on what's the date that you're going to come closely before or around November. I would not go into December not having done observations. I wouldn't. It's too chaotic in the schools. They're getting ready for Christmas. They've gone into another type of shift for the programs and for schools, just in my opinion. So what is program evaluation? It's examining, and we're going to talk about this over and over, y'all. It's examining the program's proposed goals versus the actual implementation of the program. What are they doing? Is it successful? Do they need to shift? The goals and objectives cannot be changed. That's what they were approved on initially, and that's what the State Department approved them based on. So they can't change their goals and objectives, but they can work towards that, and you can give them suggestions on, hey, this was hard to measure. If every year your final report says ENA for the measurement of this goal, then it might be a good idea for them not to put that as a goal and objective. Maybe change that objective in some way for the next grant. Excuse me. So we're also looking at the program's strengths and weaknesses, including what worked and what didn't work, like I already said, and providing recommendations for program improvement. GEPA measures, high topic item, came down about 2 years ago, and it's still slightly confusing, and we're still working on getting information for it. So the GEPA measures is basically the way the federal government is measuring Government Performance and Results Act, measuring how 21st century programs are doing. But they are also using this as a funding source. Like however they are doing, if they 80% of their people are reporting the data, we're going to fund them based on that. So the funding is based on these GEPA measures, and that's why we're really pushing for our grantees to complete this information. So a lot of it, most of it we gather through Easy Report, but a lot of it is from Power School, and it swoops over from Power School like once a year, not multiple times, into Easy Report, and Easy Report aggregates the data and they upload it into 21 APR, which is what we report to the federal government. So the GEPA measures are based on state assessments, grade point averages, school day attendance, teacher reported behavior, and student engagement and learning. Those are the 5 things that we're looking at. And no longer are we 30 plus days before we measure these things. It's day 1. Once a child attends the 21st century program, they are counted. Now they are counted in segments, and we'll show you that in a little bit, but they're counted from day 1. So every student, and a lot of grantees get confused. So they might not do parent surveys or grades for the students who came during summer school or summer camp, but those are still 21st century students. So they need to be counted too. That's something that we're pushing our grantees to really understand as we get further along in the process for GEPA measures, because the further we get into it, the more we understand also. So the first one is on academic achievement, and we're talking about, and what I want to hone in on this is the actual, I'm looking, might not be the right PowerPoint, but the actual grade levels that these are based on. I'm looking for my slide. So I'm like, this is not the right PowerPoint. Let's go to this one. Nope. Nope. Okay, let me take this one down, because I'm realizing Linda Williams said it's not the right PowerPoint. That's the original one. Sorry, y'all, technical difficulties.
You want me to resend it?
No, I think I got it.
Yeah.
Now I just have to get my computer to show it. Okay. Now I have to go back to where I was. We just talked about that. Okay. This is the side I'm looking for. So I'm putting this one up here and we changed that's how I knew I was on the wrong PowerPoint because we changed it because I want you to see this chart. I want you to focus in on what grade levels are for which performance measures. So these two, grade levels, performance measures. You don't need the first column. That's the long version. The best ones is going to be the last two columns, grade levels and performance measures data type. So the first one, state assessments, is for reading and math. It's only for grades 4 through 8. If you just service elementary schools, your numbers are going to look small because you're only going to be pulling 4th and 8th state assessments. GPA is not going to be for elementary schools. It's only going to be for grade levels 7th through 8th and 10th through 12th. Every other grade level, not going to have it. So if they wrote in their grant that each student would increase in grade level, they need to either send you a spreadsheet that has the grades for all the students to show an increase, or they need to enter the grades into Easy Report so that you can pull a report and show an increase. Excuse me. But if we're just going on what is going to be put in Easy Report isn't going to show you the grades at all for the GEPR measures. It's only going to show you this percentage of students had an increase. That's all you're going to get. And that's a good thing for y'all to have, but I can't guarantee that we're going to have it by September 30th. And so I want in the beginning for us to be really focused. And we did a lot of telling the grantees, hey, your goals and objectives, Linda Dean emailed each one of them. Your goals and objectives say grade levels. Your goals and objectives say increase in grades, and they still did not put the grades in Easy Report. So I want you to we're going to back it up. We're going to have the State Department back it up, but we push them to make sure for cohort 17 that the goals and objectives aligned with the GEPR measures. So don't ask for things that aren't in the GEPR measures explicitly like the GEPR measure says. So if you service elementary schools, you probably shouldn't ask for grades. You should come up with another something for that objective, but for that goal, but maybe everybody did. So if you're looking at the grant, because you're going to read the grant thoroughly as their external evaluator, and you see that they say, we're going to increase the letter grade by 70% of the students, then you need to be sending them reminders at the end of the grading period to say, hey, can you send me the grades? Because I'm going to need a comparison. Because if not, we're not going to get them. And I'm just telling y'all just the honest truth. We're not going to get them. And if we get them, we're not going to get them in time. Our deadline to submit these grades or these GEPR measures to the federal government is generally in March. So we're pushing for March. That's way past your September 30th deadline. Go ahead, Linda Williams.
They want you to make your screen full. If you can extend your screen to full screen instead of showing the bottom part of the
screen. Sorry.
PowerPoint.
Is that better? Perfect. Sorry, y'all. When I swap screens, I don't know what I was saying. All right, so that's GPA. Attendance is going to be for grades 1 through 12. If they service kindergarten, then you're not going to get it. But for the most part, attendance and in-school suspension, you're going to get for everybody. And this is school day attendance. This is not their attendance that's reported in Easy Report through after school. It generally should link, but you're not going to know that. In-school suspension, if they have an objective on behavior, a goal and objective on behavior, I would not use the in-school suspension one because there are a lot of schools that don't actually report it to Power School. But in my program, I might know because I would generally be the first person who the teacher or the assistant principal, whoever would come and say, hey, you got to come pick up your kid because they've been in school suspension all day, or they've been in my office because they're going to be suspended. So if you're tracking behavior, I would ask for a spreadsheet. I would honestly come up with a spreadsheet for all of these, and I would send them to my grantees and say, hey, at different periods, hey, can you update your spreadsheet now? Hey, I need your grades. Hey, I need your easy report attendance you can pull, but it's going to be your easy report attendance, not your school day attendance. So just be mindful that we asked in cohort 17 for these to align to, for their goals and objectives to align to the GEPR measures, but that doesn't mean they did. Our grant readers are external, so they just checked for did they complete it, not necessarily for were they aligned with the GEPR measures. Was it done? Is it a thorough? Is it smart? For engagement and learning, it's going to be the school survey, the teacher surveys. That's from grades 1 through 5th. So 6 and up are not going to do, they're not required to do surveys. We do have it in the system where they can do surveys, but it's not required. If you would like survey data, then that's something that you need to talk to your grantee about asking for. Excuse me. If you would like parent surveys, if you would like student surveys, if you would like teacher surveys for outside of 1st through 5th, you have to make that clear to the grantee. And when I say make that clear, I also mean give them reminders, because they have a lot of things that they're thinking about and doing, trying to make this program work. So, and I will share this PowerPoint by Friday on the website also. So these are the structures for the time frames that I told you about. So less than 15 hours, 15 to 44 hours, 45 to 89 hours, 90 to 179, 180 to 269, and 270 hours or more. That's how the students are broke up when they're reported to 21 APR. They lump them all together based on that. So they're not reporting names or anything like that. And that's the same way that we want you to report. We don't want you to give us, because of FERPA, I don't want to know any students' names. That should never be in a report. Remember, I told you these reports have to be shared with stakeholders. So none of the stakeholders should know these children's actually personal identification. Should know their name, should know their grade, should know their sex. It should be lumped into, grades, whatever, not their names, not their student IDs, not any of that. So this is how it's reported to the federal government, and it's for academic achievement, but all of them are the same. You reported this number of students in 7th through 8th and 10th through 12th. How many of these students had prior year unweighted GPAs or less? How many of these students had demonstrated an improved GPA? That's how it's reported, and it's based on those increments. That's for all of them. That's academic achievement. That's attendance rate. That's student behavior. That's student engagement. There's one more that I think we're forgetting, but that's okay. And I talked to you about the importance of the survey data. Just around March, we start sending out emails to say, hey, you should start asking your teachers for survey data for grades 1 through 5th. And it's in the system. That does not mean that people do it. Or they send it and the school's pop-up blocker blocks them, firewall blocks them. So it's important that if that's something that you want to report in your final report, that you stay on them about collecting that data, and you maybe come up with other creative ways for them to collect it. I'm generally saying, hey, during American Education Week, if that meant I went and bought muffins for the teachers myself, and hey, can you fill out my survey? Here it is online on my computer. Please do it right now. Or, hey, can I hold your class while you do this? Especially the teachers who worked in after school. If you worked in my after school, of course you did your surveys for your school day kids, because you were with me, because I'll stand in there and I'll hold your kids while you do it, or give you a time frame when you can't do it. But helping them come up with creative ways to get these surveys, it's important because you want it to be reported and we want it to be reported. So read the grant. There's your additional reminder to read the grant. Read the RFA. It's on the website, and read the grant. The grantee should give you a copy of their grant as their external evaluator. I heard some crazy things last year about people not wanting to give them a copy of their grant. You should have a copy of their grant. If you are a new external evaluator and they are an existing 21st century program, meaning they're cohort 16 or they're 17 and they've previously been 15, I'd ask for a copy of their old final reports. Let's see the previous one, see what that external evaluator came up with so that you can grow from that. Maybe you can find a better way to, present that information. Create some additional source of information that you can give them from that final report. Okay, so why does program quality matter? So this is going into the NIOSH training, and I'm gonna touch on the NIOSH training, but I'm not gonna really explain it. Everybody should, if you've already done the NIOSH training, you do not have to do it again. But I do suggest that you go in, if you haven't looked at it in the last year or two, go in and do a refresher. Pull a couple of the slides and watch them, do the quizzes. Just make sure that you are providing quality observations for them when you are observing the programs. And the NIOSH training is going to do that for you. If you are a new external evaluator, we are working on renewing our contract, but we are also at the end of the semester where the university's payment systems have shut down. And I have to provide them with all the external evaluators' email addresses and names before we can start the contract process. And I don't have them. So the registration for this external evaluation training is what we are trying to use to submit those names and email addresses to NIOS to start your login process for them. So I don't have access to NIOS right now because I need to provide your information to them to say how many external evaluators we have, how many grantees we have, and provide your contact information so that they can start your profile. So as soon as we do that, which we are hoping will happen by mid-January, then we should all have logins to NIOS and we can start that training. If you are brand new cohort 17, then you're not responsible for a fall 17 or not fall 17, but a fall observation because those programs technically are not starting until January 3rd, 4th, whatever day their school starts. But if you're cohort 16, then you should have done a fall observation already. If you're a brand new external evaluator and you have not done an observation because you have not done the training for the fall, get in contact with me and we'll talk about it. But still, the NIOSH training won't open up until January, probably mid-January. Linda Williams will send you an email when I send the list and they start to send emails about that. So program quality, it matters. Quality OST leads to youth development, key skills, attitudes, and behaviors needed for school and life success, and healthy, competent young adults who are successful in work and life. And that's what we're looking for. That's what the NIOSH training is going to try to tune your ears to look for, or tune your eyes to look for when you're observing the program. So that's part of why we use the NIOSH training observation models. So you also will not see the observation tools on our website because they are NIOSH proprietary information, so we can't publish them like that. But once we get to the Linda Williams has sent them before, and she can send them to you at any time. But once we get the login set, she will send you another copy of them. They do not have signature lines at the bottom, so you will need to add that or just sign the external, your name, and have the site director or the program director sign their name and date it. Because again, those have to be uploaded into the continuation application and they have to be uploaded into Cognia. Gotcha. All right, so these are the sections. And if you notice the overall program rating and impressions that are at the bottom, it is still highlighted. So it is still the one that we are mandating that you do. So that's the one that is required. You have to do 2. The other one you choose. And it doesn't have to be the same one each time. If you show up and do arrival time one time. The next semester you can do informal social time. The next one, if they have a summer, you can do activity time. Does not matter. I just want you to observe two overall. The overall program rating and impression is going to be the one that is required, and then you choose the other one. When you are doing these observations, and I am telling the grantees this also, you should expect to spend at least 2 hours at these sites. You're only mandated to go once a semester for you to get a really good idea of what is going on in their program. You should be spending 2 hours or more at their programs. Most of the after school programs don't last longer than 3 hours. Most of them are 3 to 6 o'clock at the latest. So we're expecting for 2 hours of the program. That way you can really get an overall program rating and impression from your visit. And so in that visit, you probably will see arrival time, transition time, homework time, and informal time if you stay for 2 hours. You might not see pickup, but you should see most of these if you stay for 2 hours. You might miss arrival time, but if you miss arrival time, you should still get 5 of these in a 2-hour range because they're transitioning several times during the course of their 3-hour days. So observations, one per semester, and I just touched on that. You're going to do one in the fall, one in the spring, and if your program wrote for summer, then you're going to do one in the summer. NIOS observation training is mandatory. If you have already done it, you do not have to redo it. I do suggest that you do a refresher. I'm gonna do a refresher this year because it's been a while since I looked at it. And I suggest that we generally let the grantees have a login also. So we normally suggest that they log in and be able to do a self-assessment on themselves with the observation training too. So it's not mandatory for them, but it's suggested. You must use the NIOS observation tool. Last year, we had some evaluators who, when the State Department asked for the observations, they just wrote up something and sent it, or they didn't send anything at all. Be mindful that as an external evaluator, you don't want to be on the radar of the State Department. Not for that. I do have some people, and please believe they read the reports. So they do send me emails and say, hey, I got this report and this seems like a really good observation. But they also send me observations and they say, this person look like they just wrote the same thing for all 5 of their grants. So be mindful, they're reading your final reports, they're looking at the observations, and they're noticing when things are the same, they're noticing when things are not backed up. So if you are giving them all 4s on everything because it's great, it's a great program. We had another evaluator yesterday say she backs it up with a lesson plan, which we are still requesting that you give an example of a lesson plan in your appendices, but she backs it up with a lesson plan. She asked for it while she's there when she's observing. Because it should be no problem for them to show you their lesson plan and either you snap a picture of it or they make you a copy of it. She also maybe takes a picture of the students. You should make sure that the students have had their form signed to say that they can be in pictures, or maybe just get the back of their heads. Does not matter, but pictures in your final report, it makes us happy. We like to see kids still. Would you send us where to train for these observations? The NIOSH training is what I'm gonna send you in mid-January. We are going through contract process, so we have not, we don't have a login for it yet. You're triggered, who triggered me to figure out that we're out of our contract, so I can't get a login for you right now. But I'm working on it, I promise. So, make sure that the observations are signed by the site coordinator or the program coordinator, whoever is there that you talk to that day, but not a teacher. So either the site coordinator, program coordinator, hopefully not just a lead teacher, and the external evaluator, and make sure that it is dated. And then you give them a copy of your observation tool, not wait till the final report to give it to them. They need a copy within a week or 2 because they need to upload it into Cognia for their fall visit. For the spring visit, they need to upload the spring visit. Like, make sure that you are sending them these observations within the week or 2, or make a copy before you leave. And I like that the State Department is actually requesting this now because it gives you a chance to have the conversations that Linda Williams talked about last year. You need to be talking to them. Their recommendations should not just be coming during the final report process. It should be coming on a regular basis. When I see something in a program, I want to tell you how you can make it better right now. I want to tell you, I want to fill your cup up. I want to tell you the great things that I saw in your program today, because I want you to tell your staff. I want you to tell your parents. I want your cup to be full because I saw it and I saw that it was great. That's what we want you to give them when you're there. If you need to make some recommendations, make it. It shouldn't be a, hey, I saw this kid, he was sitting in the corner and nobody said anything. No, that observation should be shared right then, because you want to make an impact on that program. You want that to be corrected immediately. So the principles to guide the evaluation, there's always room for improvement. That's what you're there for. Change that involves everyone is the most successful. We talked about doing surveys. We want you to talk to parents. We want you to talk to teachers. We want you to talk to school administrators if you can during that 2 hours that you're there. We want you to talk to as many people as you can so that this is a process where you're building relationships so they trust you, and so they see everybody's opinions can lead to a better program. Because a lot of people, they might be a teacher or they might be a parent or they might be a student or whoever, but they have valuable input that they can put on this process to make it better. Promote shared leadership. Same thing I just said. Everyone has something to contribute, and show slow gradual changes is more lasting. So if you see them, I suggest the observations be done, maybe not August, but September, October, during the earlier stages of the year when they really kind of still figuring it out. So when you go back in the spring, you should see improvement. But it could just be a little, hey, it was chaos when they were coming in last semester. This semester, they're coming in and they're all, just sitting in their little groups and they're having some social time. It's more organized. That's a change that was gradual, but it was a change that was effective. Am I on to you, Linda Williams?
Is that me, Erica?
I think
Or
so.
is that you?
I'm not looking at the thing, so I don't know.
It says the evaluation plan, and I think most of them that are online this afternoon is familiar with the evaluation plan. We may have a couple of new people. And if you're new, make sure that you send us an email stating who you are, what site that you are visiting, and also give us your site coordinator as well as their email address. Now, I would like for every external evaluator to send us a copy of the sites that you have. I don't care whether you have 10, I don't care if you have 11, I don't care if we don't care if you have 12, because we know that you're going to do a superb job. We just want to make sure that we have a copy. I want to also make sure that you send us the sites, the site coordinator, and the email address. So if you all can do that for us, we would greatly appreciate it. Okay?
Yes, yeah, we're trying to compile an accurate list, so that would be very helpful.
And yeah, because I'm also getting some information where people don't know who the site coordinator, and I can understand that, especially at the beginning of a grant or the year, because sometimes they change. But it's imperative that you get that information to us as soon as you find out who is the site coordinator, because you're building a rapport with these people. You can get more out of them if you spend time, if you talk to them a lot. So make sure you put in the time when you're visiting these sites. So as we talk about the evaluation plan is something that is mandatory. You don't have a choice. You have to do an evaluation plan, just like you have to do a final plan. I don't know why my mind is going blank this afternoon, but it is. But you have to do those things. The evaluation plan is developed from your logical model. We're going to talk about the logical model in a few minutes. Once you have established evaluation questions, you can begin the evaluation plan. Now, you can't start any of this until you look at the grant. Please take a look at the grant. And some of you all have more than one grant to read, but you need to make sure that you read the grant. Not only do you need to read the grant, but you need to read the RFA. Please read the RFA. so that you can write an effective evaluation plan. And now, some of the things that this plan should do is should explain the purpose and the goal of the evaluation. Most of your plan is going to be based off your grant and that RFA. So it's going to be hard for you to write it if you don't read those two, if you don't dig for the information in the RFA as well as in your grant. Lay out all the data to be collected. You're going to be collecting quantitative and qualitative data. You're going to be looking at surveys. You're going to be looking at Easy Report. You're going to be looking at we're talking to students, looking at lesson plans, looking at behavior. There's so many things that you can look at in order to gather up data. As a matter of fact, each and every time that you enter a room, you're gathering data. Data. You're also going to provide the timeline. Where are you going? When are you going to do the evaluation plan? When are you going to meet with the site coordinator and the program director about even with the mid-year report? Mid-year report is something that you don't have to do, but you have to sign it. You have to sign it, so you have to keep a copy. The evaluation plan is so important, is that you don't want them to put that down. You want that evaluation plan to stay in front of them. I won't say it's like the Bible, but it is a document that they need to follow. Activities. Document the activities. Whatever you see, when you do your observation, document. So when the State Department does go out and do compliancy, they don't go out and say, I got you. It's not about I got you. It's about what they're seeing. And they might go back and say, when did that evaluator see this? And they may not have been doing it during that time. But if that child is a behavior problem and behavior is one of your objectives, then what are you doing to try to help the site coordinator? What kind of recommendations are you leaving for them? Are you just telling them just write them up? Or give them some type of incentive, like Erica said, but make sure when you're writing your evaluation plan, when you're documenting, make sure you're communicating with your site coordinator or your program director. Outline how the evaluation will be distributed to the stakeholders. We have stakeholders, we have your teachers, we have the staff that are working. We got to make sure that the day teachers are also working with the staff of the 21st Century program, because if Johnny's not doing well in a class, when that after school program teacher needs to know that. Are they communicating? Are you communicating with the principal? Are you communicating with the Board of Education? But we got to make sure that this evaluation plan is shared. Now, it also says at the bottom, we've also provided an evaluation plan template, and we're going to update it a little bit, and then we're going to send it out to you we've already sent it out, because your plan should be, if you're cohort 16, that plan is due on December the 15th. And if you are cohort 17, your plan is due February the 28th, 2024. Okay, Erica. Now, this is just an outline of what your evaluation plan contains: an introduction, background and description, goals and objectives. Where are you going to get this information from? The grant, your RFA, it tells you. Your stakeholders, what's the purpose? What data are you collecting? What methods are you using? What tools are included? And then the appendices, make sure you include your logical model. Sometimes what I'm getting is you're sending the evaluation plan and then you'll upload the logical model at a different time. They're not together. So if you're having trouble uploading all of this information at one time, let us know and see, and that way we can see whether or not we can help you with this. Your evaluation plan should also include a timeline. When is this going to be done? What date? This should be discussed between you and the site coordinator or the program director. Your meetings, the data that you're collecting, also should include your credentials, your resume. So make sure all of this is a part of your evaluation plan. Now, with that logical model, it's just a one-pager. It's a template. It's not difficult or hard to fill out. It should be based on the goals and objectives outlined in the RFA. And since the RFA has changed, I would advise you to make sure that you read, because it has changed. The State Department has updated the RFA. And so if you don't have a copy of the RFA, please let us know, and Erica can get you a copy of that. The evaluation questions should be developed to evaluate the program progress on their stated goal and objectives. You know that each grant, or grantee, I should say, has had to write a goal. They had to write goals, and they also had to write objectives in the grant. So you have to look for that. How are they making progress on that? The only way you would know that if you observe, if you go and you ask questions and you're looking at specific data to see, but first you got to know what the goals and objectives are in order to look for them. So please read the grant, read your goals, read your objectives. Okay, Erica, we're ready. This is just a sample of the logical model, your goals. Remember, you can find those goals in the grant itself. The input, what are your resources? What's the staff? What are your funding? What are your partners? And then you got your output. What strategies and activities are they using? It is in the grant. Look at your grant, look at your RFA. You will find this information and the outcomes. Are the outcomes short-term? Are they long-term? Is it going to take more than a year to achieve? Like for an example, somebody may say, we're trying to increase our math scores or increase our reading scores by 50%. Can they do that? Is that durable? Data used to assess the progress of the program toward the goal, that's your performance. What are you using to, some people use sign-in sheets, some people use the ACAP, which is the test that Alabama give to the students. Some use grades. But whatever the grant says, that's what you're going to be looking for and how they're going to assess that. Now, some things may not be measured. And if it's not measurable, then you need to talk to the grantee about that. Not that they can change their objectives right now because it's too late. The grant has already been approved. So, but you want to make sure that you read over their grant, look at the goals, look at the objectives, because this is what this logical model is going to be based upon, what they've written. Program description and background. Now, your program description usually includes the program history, the goals, objectives, and you keep seeing those same words, the goals and objectives. This is a vital part of your evaluation plan, your staff, the feeder schools. This should be like 3 to 5 paragraphs. Some people, you say it in a couple of sentences, but make sure you do the history behind the grant that you are actually observing. Your needs assessment. How many sites are you serving? Are you serving 1? Are you serving 2? How many families are they serving? Are they serving 100 families? Or are they serving 50 or 25? This is found in your grant. Your partnerships. Who are they partnering with? Are they partnering with the 4-H club? Are they partnering with the YMCA? Who are the partners? The resources. What resources are they using out there? Are they using some of the resources that they may be using? I don't know this, but you know, the for learning thing that, what's the name of the program, Erica, that they do with the State Department does, because it's free and they have workshops that the after school program can use.
Why for why?
Why for learning. Yes, that's a resource. And your activities and your schedules, the program is built around activities. All the activities has to be scheduled. Are they on schedule? Are they following the program? Next slide. Evaluation activities, your stakeholders. The stakeholders are the who. It's not just the children that you're looking at and evaluating. You're looking at your teachers. You're looking at the staff. You're looking at the activities that they're doing. Whose vested interest is in this part? It's the students, it's the teachers, it's the staff, it's the administration, and it's also the partners. So all of us have an invested interest when it comes to our children. And what role do they play in the program and the evaluation? This is extremely important. What roles does the student play? Well, if you don't have any student, you're not going to have a program, because this is a student-based program. So this particular part is like 1 to 2 paragraphs. It's not that long. Make sure that you give us something that we can sink our teeth in, I should say. Next, Erica. Purpose, the why. Address the why of the evaluation. Establish sound evaluation questions. Some of you all have been doing this for years and years, and you come up with some good questions, but make sure those questions are based on that grant as well as those RFA objectives. So you're going to look at the goal. Here's that word again. You're going to look at the stated goals, and you're going to look at the objectives. We keep running back into those goals and objectives because we want to make sure that whatever they've written inside of their grant, they're actually trying to move or to, well, I should say move toward their goals and their objective. Would they meet them in 1 year? I don't know. But sometimes they do and sometimes they won't. Because if one of their goals is to improve the amount of students that they have coming to their program, they may say that they're going to get 50 and they may not get but 25. Is that a problem? Yes, it is. But are they working toward that? So what data should they be using? It depends on what the goals and objectives are. So make sure, because in your final report, you have to make sure that you answer those stated questions that you've asked in the evaluation, whether or not they actually met the goals and the objectives in the program. Your job is to make sure that you're helping them grow, because you want to make sure that the program improve. There's always room for improvement. They're not perfect, but guess what? That's why we're here. We're here to help. Data collection and methods, the how. What data will be collected? Data such as your surveys, such as Easy Report. How are you going to analyze this? And make sure, because of FERPA, like Erica said, student information should not be given out. Students' names should not be shared. So even when you are putting pictures on your reports, make sure that you have permission to do that. That's your data collection chart. It states the data, the tool that you're using, and the person that's responsible for doing that. Is it you? Is it the site coordinator? Is it the program director? Is it the teachers? Who's responsible? And what is the deadline? And when are you going to complete it? I like data. And these are some of the data sources that you can use. You have Easy Report. Yay! Because in the past, you didn't have Easy Report, but now you have Easy Report. And please use it as a data resource. It's there. And if you're having a problem with Easy Report, let us know. We're going to do some training on Easy Report. That'll come later. Much later, but you have Easy Report. No longer do you have to call your site coordinator, your program director, and ask how many people actually participate. Guess what? It's an Easy Report. How many students do you have? It's an Easy Report. Are the kids coming to the program? It's an Easy Report. So some of this information can be found in Easy Report, not all. Lesson plans, you're going to have to get that from your site coordinator, the program director, excuse me. Some of this information you're going to have to interview. Like sometimes you have to talk to your teachers, talk to your staff, talk to the principal, or even talk to the children. Interview them. Observation, that's another data source, as well as your pre and post test, your benchmark assessment. Sometimes they use what you call iRead, sometimes they use SPAR, sometimes they use iReady, but there are a lot of resources that the school have that you only have to ask, but make sure it's in their grant. If it's not in their grant, you don't need to ask for that information. Only ask what's either in that grant or in the RFA. And of course, state assessment. How will results / feedback be utilized? How can we utilize this beautiful data? What are we going to do with it? After you've collected all the data, what are we going to do there? You're going to write a report. You're also going to share that report with your stakeholders. Your stakeholders could be your principal, your teachers, your staff, even the students, even your parents. But these are your stakeholders. You're going to write a report. And you're going to meet. Make sure when you write the evaluation plan, please sit down and talk to the program director, your site coordinator, the teachers, the staff, so that they can understand what's in your report. How does it affect them? It does affect them. How can you help them to improve or to grow? How can you solicit your plan? By sharing it. So make sure before you sign off and before they sign off, make sure you have a meeting so that you all can discuss the findings. Okay, Erica. The appendices, make sure that your logical model, your timeline, and additional documents are in the appendices. Like your logical model, like I stated earlier, is only 1 page long. There's also a timeline that it should be a part of your appendices. Your meetings, reports that are due, dissemination of results, all of this should be in your appendices, as well as your observation. Should your observation be signed? Absolutely. Not just by you, but by the site coordinator or the program director. Make sure you discuss it before you have them to sign it. And also make sure that you have, and if this was your final report, and this is not, this is just the evaluation, but surveys, whatever surveys you have done, or whatever observation you've done, make sure that you include it in the appendices as well. The action plan is really a part of your mid-year report, and you really don't do the mid-year report. That's something that is done by the site coordinator, but you have to sign off on the action plan. So that is one of the reasons why we're bringing this up, because you have to sign off on it. And whatever area that you have discussed with them, that you have made note in your on your observation, you say, well, you know what? I think you need to work on this area. So when you see the action plan, that should be a part of their improvement area for improvement. What steps are they going to take? Who's going to do it? The resources that they need, and when will this happen? This is something that they probably need to review once a month to see whether or not they are actually doing what you left behind in the evaluation plan. This is something that they need to be working on all year long. Because as they get better on one thing, something else may start to lack. I've noticed, sometimes in school, they'll say the test scores in math is going down or decreasing, and the reading scores are going up. And then as soon as we get to working on the math scores, then the reading scores go down. So there has to be a balance. But whatever area you feel like that there needs to be room for improvement, make a recommendation. This is going to help them. It's going to help them grow. Okay, Erica. Qualitative data. Your qualitative data is your observation, your interviews, formal and informal. You can have interviews in Easy Report. We can show you how to upload interviews as well as surveys. I shouldn't say interviews, but surveys, I should say. Those surveys, Easy Report has survey and that you use to write your report, but surveys, you can also use your own surveys. Interview the students, interview the teachers, get as much data as you possibly can. The final report. Thank you, Erica. The final report. I know you all are jumping out of your seats because you love this final report. Thank you. There have been some changes on this final report, and guess what? We're going to try to leave it the same, but if we have to do some changes, we may do some more changes, but I doubt it. I know this year was a little bit challenging because of the final report, it had to be revised, tweaked a little bit. And so you saw something different. We had to cater it to the new GEPRA. So it was a little longer. And my thing with all of that is to make sure if you have a good rapport with your site coordinator, your program director, then information that we cannot give you from Power School, guess what? They can. If you need to get information from Power School and maybe the site coordinator, the program director can give it to you, ask them. But we can guide you through Easy Report. We can make that happen. Surveys, Linda Dean does an excellent job of sending out reminders about the schools to do surveys. And remember, those schools are not all the schools, it's not all grade levels, it's just grade levels 1 through 5. So your high school, there's not going to be any surveys. So if you want surveys from those children, you're going to have to do those yourself. So think about that, because you're trying to collect quantitative and qualitative data. You're looking for the strength and the weakness so that you can, when you make your recommendation, it would include both what they're strong in and what they probably need some work in. And remember, your final report is due September 30th, 2024. Your final report is made up of the executive summary. Now, keep in mind, this has changed because of the GEPRA. GEPRA is not included on this one. So the final report has been changed slightly. And so if you have any questions, we'll go back into details about the final report later, not at this time. Where our main focus this time, since you're getting ready to do your evaluation plan, and kudos to those who have already uploaded their evaluation plans. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We really appreciate that. But remember, keep in mind that they're due December the 15th. And today is what? December the 13th, which means you have 2 days if you're cohort 16. And if you're cohort 17, they're due February the 28th. And if you need an extension, just give us an email or a call. And guess what? We will give you an extension. But right now, we don't know that until you ask. So please, if there's anything that we can help you with, whether it's a final report or whether it's an evaluation plan, just email or call. We are here. We're here to help one another. Now, the support part. If you need help, like I just stated, communicate with the grantee when you need the report. Let them know that, hey, I need to get in, I need to do an observation. When can we meet? Always communicate. Communicate and collaboration are the keys to a successful program. Make sure they know who you are. Make sure that you and them are on first name base, I should say. So that when you ask them for something, they'll say, you know what? I'm gonna get that for you. But guess what? TPI is always available. So if you need to get in touch with either Erica, Linda, or myself, do that. Contact us. If you can't find a copy of the grant, contact us. If you need help finding information that we can pull off Easy Report, contact us. We're here to help and to make things smoother for you, to answer any questions that you may have. And sometimes now I have been in and out. I've been going through something, but I'm getting better. So I thank you all for your prayers. But we are still here for you. So evaluators, look for our emails, look for our calls. We love you. Thank you.
All right, here is just a timeline, just to, I know we've been going through this, and this will be posted, so you don't have to memorize this real quickly because this slideshow is going to be posted. But for cohort 16, your evaluation plan due the 15th, December 15th, 2 days from now, as Linda just said. And if you can't get that done, please reach out to us so that we know that you can't get that done. I know that perhaps you did not have your forms, you forgot to get your forms signed when you did your observation. So you might need time to run back and get that signature somehow. Better to go ahead and get the extension and get the signature than have to reload it twice. So your site director and yourself needs to sign that evaluation plan. And then for cohort 17, February 28th. We have stressed that we'd like the name of the site and the name and the email address of your site directors. We're trying to get a good, correct list compiled of that. And I've been receiving some of those for the last couple of days from the grantees themselves, but this is a busy time of year, so they might fail to do that, but if y'all can help us out on this, that would be great. Mid-year report, it was mentioned that this is actually prepared by the site director or the program director. January 31st for cohort 16 and February 29th for cohort 17. The final report, September 30th, 2024. Linda and Erica mentioned there will be additional training prior to the time that has to be submitted. That, folks, is not a flexible deadline. That has to be in by September 30th, if not before. So do not ask for any sort of extensions on that. This is, a federal grant, and that one is firm. Then you have your dates for your next external evaluator training. February 15th, we'll be sending you nudges on that, and another one probably in April. I'd like to go back to the surveys, which are used to measure student engagement. As was mentioned, the surveys are required only for teachers of students in grades 1 through 5. However, when you look in Easy Reports, surveys can be sent to stakeholders, to staff, and to parents, and to the students themselves. The surveys are already designed. Often these provide very, very good insight into how strong the program is, and will give you a good final report when you see parental support, for example, for the program. So the only one required is, in fact, the teachers of students in grades 1 through 5. But those surveys are already built and can look great in your final report if you can get them.
Hey, Erica, before we go on to the next one, we failed to mention the fact that the final report, some of them had to be revised or updated because of the information coming out of Easy Report and from Power School. So can you speak to them about that, please?
So that's why we were very specific in saying Power School is not going to give us all the information that you need for your final report in the timely manner that you need it. Final reports are due on September 30th. We did give extensions this year, but we will not be able to continue to give extensions like that. So just be mindful as you're gathering information and data from your grantees and talking to your grantees. All of this information is not going to come from Power School that you need. A lot of it is still going to have to come from the grantees. They're still going to have to put it into Easy Report manually or create a spreadsheet, and they send you updates in this spreadsheet. You're going to have to kind of create a template to ask them for information, and don't send the template on September 1st because it's not going to be enough time. So if you want something, I would say go ahead and start to create the template now. You can look at Easy Report and see what is in there and how you can manipulate, we'll have a training on that in a couple of months to, and that's when we can start to talk about what they can gather in Easy Report. That's why the Easy Report training is scheduled for February, because that's around the time when they should have some grades to report in Easy Report. So at that point, we can talk about what information you can hone from Easy Report as far as what they can enter to give you, not what Power School is going to send to Easy Report, because it's more than likely the grades that you need them for, that information is not going to be available. The individual student data is not going to be available in that manner. So be thinking about a template, how you feel like you can be getting the information from your grantees. If you've already done your fall observations, when when spring semester starts and they go back to school, this is a good time to have a conversation with them about how to gather this information. We want this final report to give them information about their program so that they can present it to other people and they can actually glean really good information and a really good perspective of how the program is going. That also means that it's not just doing evaluation questions based on just the goals and objectives that are listed. If you see another trend, it would be great if you could look at that. That's why we ask for a master's level statistics class, because we want you to be able to think about how to use quantitative and qualitative data to come up with an answer or a measure for something. So just be thinking about how you can do that, how you can make their final report stand out to make them exciting for stakeholders to read. If that means make it colorful, if that means include pictures, if that means, show a skew of the data. I recently had a grantee who said they noticed that site directors over the years were more likely to become school administrators. And I thought, well, that's a good way to look at that, because being an administrator over an after school program is a good way to get your foot in the door to be a school administrator. It is a first leg to seeing how that process goes. But that was something that a researcher had to look at the data and say, I can forecast this to go this way. And I can watch these trends to make sure that this is what I see from that data. So this is a good time to do that. Don't just look at the template and just answer our questions. That is boring. Give us information. Show us something that the program is doing great. This is where we want that to be showcased, not just simply the answer to the questions so that you can complete the task and check the box. It's noticed when you're just checking the box. We're looking for really great final reports. So I think I pretty much answered that question. All right. So the next one, Alabama 21st Century website, and I'm not going to go to the website, but y'all just check out the website. There is a tab for external evaluation. It's right in the center of the page, and that's where all of your documents are housed. That's where we're going to put the templates when they're loaded. That's where the old templates are. If you want to start working ahead, or at least look at the templates to see, what they look like, because they're not going to change very much unless the State Department gives us another mandate that we need to do. And it has not been discussed at this point. So there's an external evaluation tab. There's also a tab for grantee forms on the side and the slash box at the top right. All of their forms are on there, and it does have a search box. There's a link to our YouTube page on there that has all of our recorded trainings. We have been recording trainings for over a year now, and every training we have done in the past year and a half probably is housed on our YouTube page. It's a lot of data, a lot of information. That is a great place, and that's what we're really trying to develop and be able to send when we have new staff onboarding as site directors or program directors, that they can go to our YouTube page and watch have some training hours so they can get the same information that new grantees got. We just started cohort 17 the last couple of weeks. They literally have had hours of trainings in the last 2 weeks. All of those trainings are on there. So if we have a new site director at any point during the year, they go back, they watch those trainings so they at least get the first information that we gave them. And we're going to be developing additional trainings that will try to walk them step by step into starting a program, starting a 21st century program, starting a summer camp, and the different process that we have as far as 21st century. So check out the website. We put a lot of work into it, and the search tabs work pretty well. And this is our contact information. If you need us, give us a holler. Email is probably best for all of us because it at least gives us a reminder, hey, I need to respond to them. And generally we're pretty good at responding, but be mindful, in 2 days we're gonna be shut down for the Christmas holiday. So we won't be back until the beginning of January. But if you send us an email and we don't respond within 2 days or so, um bump it back up to the beginning. Hey, I didn't get a response. Hey, just want to bump it back. I'm okay with that. I promise you. I get probably hundreds of emails in a day. So I skip some and forget some sometimes, depending on what is going on that day. And it's a lot going on with new grantees. So
Oh, and one more thing, if y'all need access, if you don't have access to your sites yet, you have read-only access or should have, please send us an email and we'll get you into Easy Reports as a read-only access. Be sure and include who your grantee is so we can put you in the right place.
thank you, Linda D. Yeah, so when you send us that email to tell us what sites you are working with, if you did not list all of your sites when you registered, make sure you send us an email and have that information. If you don't have Easy Report access, let us know that you don't have Easy Report access. If you have other, hey, I need access to NIOS because I never was in, or if you need, whatever it is you need, if you need a form, please let us know in that same email or just shoot us an email and we'll try to get it to you. But all of the forms should be on the website except for the NIOS observation tools. But if you send us an email, we'll send you those also. But access to NIOS will come mid-January and we'll send you an email when that is available.
Hey, Erica, also mentioned to them about the conflict of interest form. I'm going to build a Enquadret so they can upload their conflict of interest
Yes.
form.
So we haven't redone the Qualtrics, the conflict of interest form. We just need to update the years and then we need to update the link. We normally have that available during the training. I promise y'all, it has been a lot going on trying to get these new grants loaded and then trying to get the training. It kind of just came and it was very, very quickly. So we will have that to you hopefully by Friday with a new link. And when we send it to you, we'll give you a deadline, but it'll be sometime after the Christmas holiday. So no worries for the next couple of weeks. We hope y'all have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Take this time as a rest, spend time with family. There has been a lot of loss in the last couple of years. It just feels like, especially in my family and our TPI family. So literally just love on your people, spend time with them, and we hope y'all enjoy it. But if you need anything, let us know.